I was single till I was 50. I met Robbie on my 50th birthday. I talk about it in the book. And we ended up getting engaged 6 months later. And he is also a late blooming person. He had never been married. So I kind of met my match, my male counterpart. And I don't know. I have often thought, why now? Why him?
This is episode number 556 with Treva Brandon Scharf. We're going to talk about when you're done being single. Treva is a friend, a colleague. She is fabulous. You're going to love this episode. I love her. I've been on her podcast. She's been on my podcast, and we are going to talk about how she found love later in life. So I'm excited to have her on. I am happy to welcome you back to Last First Date Radio, where we believe it is never too late to go on your last first date. And to support you on your journey to lasting love, I've written 2 books. The first one is Becoming a Woman of Value, How to Thrive in Life and Love. And this one is for anyone who really wants to get more confident, learn how to communicate better, learn how to show up, stand up, and speak up in life and in love. And the second book just came out this February. It's called Choice Points in Dating, and it's about making healthier choices in love. And so many of us don't realize we have choices. We don't know what those choices are. And this is really a handbook for people who want to get really clear about making the best choices. So you can find them both on Amazon for Kindle or paperback. And I share a tip every week from the Woman of Value book. And this week's tip is step number 26, which is learn how to delegate. I used to suck at this. I grew up in a home where nobody ever really delegated, but took on everything and then got pissed off about it. So learning how to delegate helps you in life. It helps you in love. It helps you in your work. If you can ask other people to do stuff that you just don't want to do, or that you want to have support in your life, it's important to speak up and talk about it. So my challenge to you this week is to delegate something. I don't care what it is, just delegate and really see how amazing it feels. Before I bring Treva on, I want to invite you, if you're not already a member, join my amazing Facebook group. It is called Your Last First Date. And we are a group of support, which is highly unusual for Facebook groups for single women. It is a place where you don't just come and say, dating sucks, men suck, everything sucks. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, you're never wrong. Everybody else is wrong. And that doesn't help you at all. And Treva is nodding. It's a place where you're going to come and you're going to learn how to communicate better and how to take accountability for your share in all of this dating confusion. And so if you are a woman over 40 and you would like some really good support, join us over there at Your Last First Date.
I don't even know where to start with all the good stuff that you just mentioned. I mean, from delegating to your Facebook group, and I'm thinking about that Facebook group called "Did You Date My Boyfriend?" or "Have You Gone Out with This Guy?" It's really horrible. It's just a horrible. I find it to be just not positive, just a negative sort of a cesspool of bitterness and anger, and it's like the dating version of like public stoning.
It's so true. I actually joined one of those groups. Did you date this man in Philadelphia or New York or whatever? And I think I spent like an hour in there before I got out. It was just like, let's hang this person. Now, I understand why those groups have started, because a lot of people have questions about the people they're dating. You're dating online, it's scary. But my feeling is, if you're scared about somebody you're dating, you probably shouldn't be dating them. I mean, just if you're getting that bad feeling in your gut that this person is not, their actions and words are not lining up, or you just don't feel like it, like, just move on. Don't go to these. Ugh.
Yeah, it's not good. It's just, it's an echo chamber of bitterness and negativity. And, you know, I'm of thinking that, what's the old saying? Discretion is the better part of valor. And, you know, said the woman who just wrote a memoir, who would like let it all rip. But yes, there are some boundaries. And I just kind of feel like, the internet has been so misused for these kinds of really awful purposes. I don't dig it one bit. Okay, so anyway, I'm all for support and strength and confidence building, and wherever you can get it and wherever you can find it. And so, yes, thank you for doing what you do on Facebook.
Oh,
That's
well,
the point I'm trying to make. Thank you.
well, thank you. And thank you for what you do and the book that you've written and the work that you do. So let me tell our audience a little bit about you. Treva is an ICF-certified life and dating and relationship coach. She's also a fitness pro, and she's the author of a fabulous new book. It's called Done Being Single. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding it up. Treva's got it behind her. It's such a good book. Treva is a great writer. She writes from the heart. She writes from her soul, and she tells it like it is. So if you are up for some honest truth about what it was like for her, even if you are not a late bloomer, you'll get so much out of this book. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her. She writes for Newsweek and Huffington Post. She's written for Thrive Global, The Intelligencer, Bustle, UpJourney, Better After 50, many, many publications. She likes to write. Did you get that? And she's also an advocate for strong, independent women and a voice for empowered singles. She's also a champion for late bloomers everywhere. Welcome, Treva.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you, and I love being here. You're the best.
You're the best. So, Treva, tell our audience a little bit about your story of finding Robbie later in life, and how did you get there? How did you finally find him?
Many, many dates, many boyfriends, lots of heartache and heartbreak, and triumphs and joys. I mean, it wasn't all bad. I must have liked being single a little bit, or else I probably, wouldn't have stayed single for as long as I did. But yes, I was single till I was 50. I met Robbie on my 50th birthday. I talk about it in the book. And we ended up getting engaged 6 months later. And he is also a late blooming person. He had never been married. So I kind of met my match, my male counterpart. And I don't know. I have often thought, why now? Why him? Was it something I chose? I don't think I chose to do it this late. There were a lot of, like I said, times when I felt like, why me? Why isn't it happening? How come I can't get married? How come all my friends are married, or they're all in relationships, and I'm the odd man out here? And so and as I and then when I got married, it kind of all became clear. Okay, that some things are out of our control, some things are in our control, some things we can work on, and some things are just going to happen when they happen, and we just have to kind of give it up. So I do believe that I had my own path. I guess this was part of the bigger plan, that I was to stay single all these years. And again, I want to just make it very clear, I enjoyed being single. I had a good time. I had a great time. They were really fun times. So it wasn't all misery. And it doesn't have to be misery. That's the other part. Okay. There's great stuff about being single. And I go into that in my book as well. So I meet Robbie and I get married, and then all sort of becomes clear that, yes, this was the bigger plan, that I found him when I was ready, that it wasn't just the right place, and it wasn't just the right time, and it wasn't just the right guy. It was the right mind, being in the right mind, right? Being available, conscious, healthy, secure with myself. All these things had to sort of fall into place, all these pieces. And then here we go. And then I got married. It was the craziest thing ever. That's when I started my blog, The Late Blooming Bride, because I thought, this is a crazy story, getting married at 51. And it's still a mind blower, being married at, I just turned 60. And it's still, so it's been 9 years, and it's still a total mind blower at times.
Your story is relatable no matter how late in life somebody gets married. I was watching Indian Matchmaker on Netflix just today, and there's a woman on there who's in her late 30s, maybe she's 40. She had been married once to someone she had spent 11 years with, and it really was not a good relationship. And she goes on these dates that the matchmaker fixes her up with. And on the third guy that she meets, she feels a connection, but he comes on super strong and she starts shutting down. She doesn't trust it because he likes her too much. And how could he like her? He barely knows her. And she's about to sabotage the whole thing. She's ignoring his calls. She's telling him she's not available. And the matchmaker gets on a call with her. And she didn't have the best finesse. She's not a therapist or a coach, but she says, yeah, you'll get to like him. Give him a chance. Speak up, communicate with him. That part I agreed. She had to communicate with him what was going on for her. She had never, ever done that before. It's vulnerable to say, hey, I like you, but you came on so strong, you scared me away. And he took it so well. It was like, yeah, I realized that you were pulling away. I just had no idea what I had said or done. So please speak up. It's those little things that happen as we mature. And I know in your telling of the story, like each person that you dated or had a relationship with got you to that next stage. Like I look at it as a maturation process.
Oh yeah, for sure. They weren't, yeah, I had some fails. I had some relationship fails, but they weren't failures. They were lessons. They were teachers. They got me a little closer to who I wanted to be, what I needed to be, who I wanted to be with. So, and I thank them all in my book, all those guys. In fact, I just posted a really funny Instagram video thanking, I included a lot of other dating experts and people in the book, just quoting them because I felt their wisdom was so relevant. They're not even dating. Let me rephrase that. Even the Greek Stoic philosophers, they had nothing to do with dating, but they have everything to do with dating. So I quote them a lot, right? So I do this video where I'm thanking the people, and there's a scroll. I'm thanking all of these people that I quoted, and then I said, and to the guys that dumped me, broke my heart, and killed my soul, F you. Oops, I mean, thank you. Because yeah, thank you. If not for them, I wouldn't be this and I wouldn't have that.
I think a lot of people become so afraid to keep moving after heartbreak. And we'll talk a little bit about heartbreak in a bit.
Yes.
But I think that I love that you're able to thank them, and you're also able to be gracious enough to understand where all the learning came from, because it's not just about dating. It's never just about dating. When you're a better human, you do better at everything. When you really start to refine some of the thought patterns and yeah. So give us an example of something you learned from one of the experts that you quote in the book.
Okay, so one of the biggest takeaways for me was a guy who has nothing to do with dating. Once again, I find these people that just have this amazing take on life. And I am of the thinking that dating advice is life advice. And life advice is dating advice. Dating comes down to self-worth. It's really an exercise in self-worth, if you think about it. And as is most of life, right? How you value yourself, how worthy you think you are and deserving you are of a great relationship or a great job or a great body, or right? So anyway, we have this guy. I don't know how I found this guy, and we had him on our show. His name is Sunil Gupta, and he happens to be Sanjay's brother.
You quote him in the back of the book.
Yes. The guy has zero to do with dating and relationships. He's a business guy. He's a professor. He's an entrepreneur. He wrote a book called Backable. He works with a lot of startups. And he said that the ones that are the most compelling aren't the people that are pitching their startups, their ideas and their concepts and looking for money, aren't the ones that are necessarily like the most confident or the most charismatic or the most charming. Okay. The ones that really get like people excited and they get money and they get funded are the ones that have conviction. And it just, light bulb went off and I just thought, Jesus, that is dating. So we
Yeah.
had him on our show. We had him on our podcast. My husband and I have a podcast called Done Being Single. And he came on and he talked about business. And so, yeah, I think that when you look at yourself as sort of a product and you look at dating as kind of marketing, the concept of conviction really resonated with me, because that is what it really kind of boils down to, right? It's about knowing who you are and what you have to offer. And that's the greatest form of self-worth that I feel that you can have. That guy really, so I put him in a book.
I love that.
And I loved him so much, I had him write a blurb for me.
Yeah. It reminds me of, is it Angela Ducksworth who did the TED Talk on grit?
Yes.
That also really resonated for me. I mean,
Yes.
look at your journey. You had grit. You
Yes.
had
Yeah, no.
perseverance. It's the people who give up that say, I'm done. It's
Yeah.
never going to work for me, or I'm hopeless. I mean, it's why I wrote my book, because people don't realize the choices they have. So let's talk a little bit about your belief system around romance. I know that you're a little bit old-fashioned about a lot of things. And so talk about how you see feminism in the modern dating world.
Oh, I hate it.
Tell me more.
I just hate it. It's so at odds with everything we know about dating and romance and courtship, right? It's like this. And what's funny is that I am like such a feminist. I had to be. When you're single for as long as I was, right? I am the poster child for empowered single, and progressive single, because you have to be your own advocate, And however, with that said, and I'm not super assertive and luckily extroverted, so I have no problem talking to guys. I like flirting. I like the whole dance, right? And yet I'm shockingly traditional, and I find that this version of feminism just does not go well with at least my version of what romance should be, and I have a hard time with that. I love old-fashioned gestures. I think having the door held open for you, the car door, the little things that we knew our parents did and that are so lovely. These little gestures are just going by the wayside because women are just so angry. They're angry, like, I can open my own door. God damn it. Yes, we know you can open your own doors. Yes. And we know you can, pay for yourself. And yes, and God bless, you're buying your own homes these days, and women are outpacing men. And I love it. It's fantastic. But it just doesn't have a place to me in romance.
Yeah, I am in your court. I know it's not the popular opinion. There are a lot of people who push back. But if you look at the reality of it, our brains are still hardwired in the same way, no matter how evolved we are, that there's one way to be at work and there's another way to be in romance. And it doesn't mean you're helpless. It doesn't mean you're disempowered. It means that you allow a man to give to you and you receive, that you don't plan everything and then be pissed off that he didn't plan. This is what I see, that women take over and they wonder why they're single, because they're attracted to these take charge kind of guys, but then they come in and take over, or they keep it in a kind of colleague realm, where you're talking about work and you're having exciting conversation about ideas, but you're not being flirty and you're not bringing romance into it. And so I think that there's still so much about the dance of somebody taking your bag and feeling like they are helpful. Otherwise, you're emasculating men. You're telling them they're useless. You're telling them, I don't need you. I don't need a man. There's this creature that lives in the water that my son showed me yesterday. It's got a weird name, but it's a self-contained creature that starts as a woman and becomes a man. It becomes masculine over time. And I said, oh, that's kind of how women have become. It's like, it's just such an interesting thing. And I think if you look at the results you get, you have to step back and assess, like, what am I doing that's creating this?
Yes. So yes. Okay. So and the scene as it is right now is that women don't want to be approached, and men, there's so much fear. So women are afraid of men. They're creepy, they're weird, they're harassers, don't approach me. And then men are afraid to approach because they don't want to be rejected, and who can blame them, right? And this is this is like where the standoff is. It's like a standoff. Everybody is afraid of each other. Everyone's oppressing each other. It's sad. It makes me very sad. And I'm Me Too was great. Me Too was a movement whose time had come. Okay. Now it's so present, and it's so overly present that I feel like it's just sucking all the joy and just the wonder that is romance. And I don't know, I don't think every guy is a creep. It can't be that. They have to, especially for women and men who are done being online, okay, that are done with apps, that are fed up, that are disenchanted with dating apps, okay. There's got to be another route, another way, right? Okay, so that's called IRL, babe. It's called organic. It's called in person. How are you going to meet someone in person organically IRL if you avert someone's gaze, if you look down, if you're on your phone, if you're afraid to approach? It's setting us up for a very depressing world. And it's just, where nobody is talking, no one's interacting, everyone is walking around in fear. And this is where I go nuts with feminism, because it's more than feminism. It's a mutual form of aversion to each other. Men and women feel this.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Music Unlimited. You can listen to over 70 million songs and thousands of playlists and stations. Plus, you can now stream your favorite podcasts, like Last First Date Radio. You can listen to any song, anytime, anywhere, on any of your devices. Get Amazon Music Unlimited for free for 30 days. Just head on over to getamazonmusic.com/lastfirstdate to learn more and claim this offer. There's a lot of confusion. I mean, yes. I see it with the younger people as well as older people. I just see that people are afraid to ask for what they want. They're afraid they look at each other as the enemy. There's so much confusion. There's confusion in general in the world today, but we're confused about what to call people. We don't know if they're a he, she, they. Yes. I mean, it's like we have to be so careful. And I respect that people want to be called what they want to be called, but we live in a world now where you have to whitewash almost everything so that we're not going to go in a direction that we're going to offend somebody. And then we're also just taking out some of the kick and the heat and the fun. And so you just mentioned online dating as like a lot of people are disenchanted with online dating. Why do you think that is?
Because I think that people get lazy, they get angry, it's just I don't know, it's sort of like a poisonous thing, a virus that goes around, and people get ghosted and hurt and mistreated and disrespected and dehumanized, and then they take that in, right? They catch that, and then they pass it on, and they give it to someone else, and that's not good either. Okay, so I'm talking about the alternative here. I mean, I'm all for online dating. Believe me, God bless apps. They're the greatest. It's like walking into the biggest singles bar ever in the world, right? You know, everyone's single. It's not like, oh, we hope. But I wanted to say something about, oh, geez, I forgot, but.
You were talking about meeting people in real life. Like how can people do that?
Oh, okay. Menopause. Okay. So ladies, I'm assuming you have a predominantly female audience. Is this
Mostly,
correct?
yeah.
Okay. If you know that cold approaching, as they call it, has become a little fraught these days, okay? And who can blame you if you're a little, on alert, on edge, hypervigilant. There are weirdos and creeps out there. Make it easier for them, please. Not for the creeps and weirdos. When you're out and about, for the love of God, please make it easy for a guy to approach you. Can you just start with some eye contact? Just look at someone. Get off your phone, wherever you are, taking a walk at the market, wherever you're interacting and, functioning in your day. Just look at someone and smile. Okay. It's good practice for you anyway. And there's some studies that have said that even just smiling can make you feel good, not just the other person. Right? So start with some eye contact and a smile. That's your calling card. That's like a nice little icebreaker. Don't make it hard for a guy. If you're interested, hey, hi, how are you? If you're in line at Starbucks and you feel make a little comment, little joke, a little complaint about how long the line is, or something that's going to make it a bit easier for the both of you. Otherwise, we are going to be like, no one is going to talk to anybody, right? Isn't that sort of a depressing, scenario?
Yeah, people close themselves off. It's all fear. It's like, I'm so afraid of being approached or being harassed or being whatever. And just a simple smiling and eye contact already sets you apart from 90% of all people, unfortunately. Even if you're looking at people, but you have a podcast in your ear, it's like nobody can talk to you.
No, right.
I also think that go places alone. Don't just go in groups. And I just signed up again for meetups, which I had been going to when I first was single. And they're great, like hiking meetups and biking meetups and meetups where you're going to meet people doing what you love.
Yes. And what's the worst that can happen? You'll learn something new. You'll learn a new skill. You'll take a class, or, you'll get better at the hobby, and you just may meet someone. And if you don't, that's okay too. But I just think that, as you said, there's so much fear and loathing in the world that there just has to be, everybody has to do their part. You cannot depend on anymore. You can't. And men really appreciate it. There's not one article or blog I read that written by a guy or male commenters that say, oh, please, women, ladies, give us a open that door just a little bit. And there and then we're good.
It's like dropping the handkerchief, it's what we used to do.
Drop the hanky. It's this version of dropping your hanky. It's going to be a little scary, but you will ultimately build those muscles. It's a muscle, people. And if you don't use it, you lose it. And it will atrophy, as will your confidence.
Yeah. So, and think about also how many missed opportunities there are. And I just heard this recently, I think it was on Instagram, that there was a viral video that went around where they gave a scenario where a person was lost, a woman was lost, and she asked for directions from a guy, and she ends up marrying him. Then the same scenario plays out. She goes on Google Maps, finds where she needs to go, never talks to the guy, never meets him. And this is what we do. We we miss opportunities. People don't really know that we're interested. I mean, I remember in high school, there were guys who were interested in me who never knew I was interested in them. I was like shocked. That person liked me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we do this all the time, and it's so important to let your interest be known, even if it's just to make a connection.
Yeah, and like I said, we're dealing with a world right now that is everybody is afraid of everybody. I don't know if you're on nextdoor.com. Are you
I
on that
am.
website?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I mean, multiple times a day. Fear, 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 fear. Someone was walking down the street. Someone knocked on my door. It's getting to the point where everybody's fearful, and for good reason. And now we're hearing, these horrible stories of people shooting. Someone drove in my drive, accidentally knocked on my door and got shot, right? It's horrible. Everyone has hair trigger fear. Okay. So for this reason, we need to practice kindness, warmth, approachability, accessibility. Okay. It will really help. I'm telling you, guys are afraid. They have every right to be afraid. They are labeled some really bad things. You can get in trouble. Now people don't even compliment each other. A guy is afraid because who knows, she may report him to the authorities or something.
Yeah. You're objectifying me.
Right. But coming back to your point about masculine energy, feminine energy, evolutionary psychology, which I go into a bit in the book. If you do believe that men are wired a certain way to be pursuers and, the ones to chase or hunt or pursue, which I kind of believe. Yes, I think they are hardwired to do that. But there's a really big difference between you don't want to play hard to get. You want to be hard to get, you don't want to make it so easy, but you do want to make it easier. Right. Because of the times we're living in.
Right. I remember, I think you quoted Dwana Welch, that's one of her big things. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's being hard to get means you have standards. It just means you have boundaries. It means that you know who you are and you like yourself enough so that you're not going to just jump into a relationship with somebody that you don't really know. But you have an open heart and you're not playing a game. And then you don't do a bait and switch where you start out one way and then you totally switch who you are once you hook the person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Treva, I could talk to you all day, but as we wrap, what are your final words of advice for anyone who wants to go on their first date?
Okay. So along the lines of what we're talking about, assert yourself. Okay. Yes. Drop that hanky, and you can stay in your feminine energy, which is great, but also understand that everybody is super isolated. We hardly interact with each other in real life. Step out a little bit, ladies. Take a deep breath. Okay. Just try it today when you go out. Just a little baby step. And then you get your confidence and you do a little bit more next time, and smile, walk around with just the corners, just ever so. Always walk around with a little smile on your face. Stay approachable, stay warm, stay accessible, be soft. And I'm telling you, guys will appreciate it because you're signaling. And that's really important because guys aren't mind readers.
No, and they pick up on energy. We all pick up on energy.
For sure.
There's a reason people get friend zoned or don't get asked on second dates, and it has nothing to do with intimidation or you're not beautiful enough. For the most part, it has to do with the vibe that you give off. I mean, you see it. People read it. And you're reading okay, just prove that you're good enough for me. I've seen that on dates.
Yes.
I've seen people who have been hurt so much that they just come in all protected.
Yes.
And nobody wants to break through that shield. It's too much work. And so you've got to break your own shield and really start lowering it. Baby steps. I like the baby steps.
Yeah. And everything you just said is in my book. Everything.
Yes.
Address, facing your fears, building grit and resilience, learning how to surrender. Making the effort and letting things go. Who does that? Got to do that, right? I teach you how to do that because it's so important. I mean, all these things that go into being an empowered single.
Yes.
I was that. I was single longer than a lot of people have been alive.
You got practice under your belt, but I like that you also say that being single wasn't all terrible. It's a wonderful thing on so many levels. And
oh my God, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I had a great time. I made it. You know what? If you're going to be single, live it up, right? Don't wait. Don't stop and say, well, I can't buy that for myself. I'm not married. I don't have a boyfriend. I shouldn't treat myself, or I shouldn't buy that for myself. No, buy it, do it, live it now. Okay.
That's right.
Buy yourself a goddamn bottle of champagne and drink it, open it, pop it for you. Don't wait. I make that point in my book too. Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Right.
Treat yourself. Treva, you have a free gift for our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, go to my website, trevabrandonscharf.com, and you can if you just sign up for my free 16, 17, 20 of my top secret, super test-driven breakup tips. They work. Trust
Awesome.
me, they work. If you're going through a breakup, and just to be an empowered single, download these things because they'll sort of prepare you for the next relationship and get you all in shape.
Awesome.
And they'll heal your heart.
Healing your heart is really important because a broken heart is hard to bond with somebody else with.
Correct.
Treva, where can people find your book?
Oh, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, bookstores, I guess, Goodreads. Can you buy books on Goodreads? Yes, you can.
I don't know.
Right?
You can review them.
And at my and buy it and review it, for God's sakes. Yes.
That's right.
And at my website too, because there's a link there too.
Awesome. Thank you, Treva. You are amazing. I love you. I love your book. I love everything that you do. And I think that our audience will definitely benefit from heading over to BrandonScharf.com.
Yes. Darn that married name. That really screwed everything up. See, I should have stayed single. I would have had a much easier name. And also, if you're interested in private coaching, right? You can learn more about me and what I do.
Yes, go check it out. Go check out Treva and all the good things that she does. And Treva, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you. I love it. I love you. Mwah.
Thanks everybody for listening. If you love our show, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We will love you very much. And I may even start reading some of them because we have quite a few. And reading them on air. I do read them. And as always, here's to your first date. If you are ready to get unstuck, gain new tools, become more empowered, and finally find your first date, I'd love to talk to you. Fill out an application to be considered for a complimentary half-hour love breakthrough session at lastfirstdate.com/application.